Now we're in Second Chronicles. It's about Solomon's inauguration. So God appeared to him and asked him what he wanted. He asked for wisdom, so he got wisdom, and God gave him everything else. Gave him wealth, wisdom, and honor among all the kings. Then it talks about his preparation for the temple, the construction of it, and gets in depth and the dedication of it. And then they had the ark, and there's nothing in the ark but the two tables which Moses put therein at Horeb. And then everyone was there, everybody there, the singers, the Levites, and the priests. Then the glory of the Lord filled the room, the cloud, and they couldn't stand to minister because of the cloud. So Solomon speaks to the people and basically blesses them, and tells them to follow the Lord and all that. So he stood and prayed, and basically, did the church thing and prayer thing. And then he offered a burnt offering. God's fire came down from heaven and consumed it. Then he made sacrifices in the feast. God speaks to him, and he basically tells him, follow me and I'll keep you and all that. And if you turn from me, then I'll pluck you up by the roots. And he had fame. Then he had his subjects, the laborers, the bondsmen, and all that. So he talks more about the offering and the organization for the Levites. Then he had a navy, and he had a visit from the Queen of Sheba to see his wisdom. Then his wealth, he was rich. Like I said, he grew up and then turned away from the Lord and died. So his son reigned in his stead, Rehoboam. And there was division, so it was stripped from him. The kingdom was stripped of all of Israel, and it was stripped into two. So his seed kept ruling Judah, and then the children of Israel, the kingdom of Israel had a king. Jeroboam was the king of Israel, which was prophesied by Ahijah the prophet, or Ahijah. So Rehoboam reigned over Israel. He first follows the Lord, and then he turns from the Lord. Basically, he had a bunch of wives. He abandoned the Lord. What did he do? Oh, he forsook the law of the Lord, okay. And all Israel with him, so he forsook the law. So then basically, Egypt came up, took the treasures out of the house of the Lord, and treasures of the king house, and carried all away. All the shields of gold which Solomon made. So he strengthened himself. He did evil in the sight of the Lord, prepared not his heart to seek the Lord. So he dies, and his son Abijah reigns in his stead, which is... Now this book of Second Chronicles just goes through all the kings of Judah, so we don't have to jump back from Israel to Judah and Judah to Israel and all that, so it's kind of better to understand. They had war with Israel. Then basically... Abijah pursued after Jeroboam, took the cities of Bethel with the towns. Jeroboam died because Abijah killed him, I believe, and his acts are written in the story of the prophet Edo. So Abijah died. And then, Asa reigned. He did that which was right in the Lord's eyes. He took away the altars of the strange god, broke down the high places, cut down the groves. Asa had an army of men that had bare targets and spears. Had war with the Edomites. They smote Edom. Went after the Ethiopians. Then basically he had wars, and then they had a fate. Had an oath with some other tribes. Then he had war with Israel, the kingdom of Israel, and they fought. And then the king of Syria helped him out of the hands of Israel. So Syria went after the tribe of Israel, caused the kingdom of Judah hired on to protect them. So he didn't rely on the Lord; he relied on the kingdom of Syria to help him. He had a diseased foot and he died. And then Jehoshaphat reigned in his stead. He walked in the ways of their father David, and sought not unto Baalim, but he sought to the Lord God of his father, and walked in the commandments. Then what did Jehoshaphat do here? Everybody brought him presents. He exceeded great. He had an alliance with Ahab, the king of Israel. And that's when the prophet spoke about the Lord sending a lying spirit to the prophets of Ahab. And that was the battle where they turned from him and they killed Ahab. So Jehu ran and killed Jehoshaphat, I believe. No? I'm sorry. So Jehu didn't kill Jehoshaphat. Okay. So he's still battling. He defeated Moab and Ammon. Okay. I got it mixed up. Okay. So Jehoshaphat's battling Moab and Ammon. I'm trying to go through it quick here. Okay. He walked in the ways of the Lord all time. So he was a good king. But he didn't take away the high places. But he turned to the king of Israel, who did very wickedly. Okay, so Jehoshaphat died. And Jeroboam was the king of Judah. He did evil like Ahab, the king of Israel. Edomites revolted from under his dominion, so they went free, which is prophesied by Isaac when he told Jacob and Esau that he would be under his older brother, but then would be free, the yoke would be broken. So it's another prophecy that happened. So that's another reason why I believe the Bible. Then basically after he did his thing, Ahaziah reigned. So it turned out Jehu killed Ahaziah now, okay. And then Ahaziah's mother, Athaliah, was queen, and then she killed all the royal seed, and then Jehoiada Hitterseed, which was a priest, and then he anointed him, and then Joash, I believe, walked in the ways of the Lord because he was trained by the priest to do good. Where's he at? Yeah, Joash. So he started being a king when he was 7 years old. He did good and repaired the temple and all that, did stuff to the temple. Jehoiada got old and died. And then the son of Jehoiada, Zechariah, prophesied, and then they conspired against him, and the king had him killed. So the king that was raised by Zechariah's father had his son killed because he remembered not the kindness which Jehoiada had done to him, but slew his son. And the Lord looked upon it and required it. Syria came up against them and destroyed them, took spoil, and they left them great diseases. His own servants conspired against him and killed him. And then there's Amaziah. He did that which was right in the Lord, but not with a perfect heart, which is a lot of us do that. We don't serve the Lord with a perfect heart. He killed the servants that killed his dad. Then he had another war, but Israel didn't go up with him. He bought them, and then, I believe, but the prophet told him not to let him go because the Lord was not with him. And then, so the Lord delivered them, and they won and left back with much spoil of the children of Edom. And then he bowed down. He brought the gods of the children of Edom and burned incense to them, so the Lord was kindled against him. And then basically they Israel overtook them and fought them, and they fled back to their tents. Now Uzziah was 16 and he was king because Amaziah died, so Uzziah is the king now. So he got all high and like he was high and mighty, and he went to the temple to burn incense to the Lord or do a burnt offering, and then they stopped him and he turned leprous. So he was the one that was the king with leprosy. Azariah, same thing as Azariah, it's him. He was strong and his heart was lifted up to his destruction. Your heart gets lifted up and you think you're good enough to do anything, and you're really not. So he ended up with leprosy and he died. And Jotham was the king of Judah. And then he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord. He built the gate of the house of the Lord. He fought with the king of the Ammonites and prevailed against them. And they paid him tribute, basically. He was mighty. He died. And Ahaz is the king of Judah now. And he did not that which was right in the Lord. So he did evil. He burned incense. He sacrificed children. He burned them. And then the Lord delivered him to the king of Syria, and they smote him and carried him away, and a great multitude of them they brought captives. And Pekah, the son of Ramillah, slew in Judah 120,000. Then the children of Israel fought against them too, and they carried them away captive, but the prophet told them they needed to bring them back, so they let them go back, because they're their brethren. So then they was going against them again, and Ahaz sent to the king of Assyria to help. The Edomites came and smitten Judah and took away captives. So there's captives of Judah and Edom. So the king of Assyria came up and distressed him, but strengthened him not. So now Assyria is going against Jerusalem. And they paid him off to leave him alone, so they turned and went the other way. And then he died, and Hezekiah is the king of Judah now. So he does that which is good in the sight of the Lord, and they start celebrating the Passover and going back to the way that was supposed to be done, because they haven't done the Passover in so long. They made the sacrifices. He wrote to other tribes, and they came, and some of them came and observed it, and some of them didn't. And then basically, I mean, it gets more in detail of their kingdoms, of their reign, of each king of Judah. So obviously, this is written from the tribe of Judah somewhere, in that time. Then he he trusted the Levites, and then they basically was building up, going back toward the Lord. And it gets more in details of the Levites and stuff like that, and them, taking care of the temple and everything like that. So Assyria battled up against him again, and then he was telling the people, follow the Lord, don't be afraid of them, and who's with them. There's more with us than there with him. And then, the king of Assyria was talking back to him like, don't let him deceive you, we're better than any nation. But the Lord delivered them out of the hands of Assyria again. Hezekiah was sick to his death and prayed unto the Lord, and Hezekiah rendered not again the benefit done to him. His heart lifted up. Therefore was wrath upon him, upon Judah and Jerusalem. He humbled himself, so that the wrath came not upon him again in the days of Hezekiah. And then basically he died, and Manasseh was 12 when he began to reign in Jerusalem. He did that which is evil, built altars, caused the children to pass through the fire, so they did children's sacrifices again, the graven images, he besought the Lord when he was afflicted. He brought captains of the host of the king of Assyria, which took Manasseh among the thorns, and bound him with fetters and carried him to Babylon. He prayed, and the Lord was entreated of him. He took away the strange god, repaired the altars of the Lord. And then he died, and Ammon, his son, was the king of Judah. He did that which is evil, humbled himself not before the Lord, because his father humbled himself, but he didn't. His servants conspired and slew him, and they killed him. And Joash was the king of Judah then. He broke down the altars of Baalim, cleaned it up. They found the book of the law. He read it to everybody. They observed the Passover. Okay, so Hezekiah did not observe the Passover. I got ahead of myself. Joash, they kept the Passover. Okay, and then Egypt came up against them to fight against them, and Joash went out against them, but his ambassador told him not to, and he did, and he died out in war. So they brought him back, and Jeremiah lamented for Joash, and all the singing men and all the singing women spake of Joash in their lamentations to this day. So Jehoahaz is the king of Jerusalem. The king of Egypt went down, put Jerusalem, and condemned the land. So they put him in tribute. And Egypt made Eliakim his brother king over Judah, and they turned his name Jehoiakim. So Jehoiakim did evil. Nebuchadnezzar came up against him from Babylon. Carried the vessels of the house of the Lord to Babylon, put them in his temple in Babylon, and Jehoiakim and all his abominations which he did are, written in the Book of the Kings of Israel and Judah,